If you feel like you have those exams coming up, but you're barely even studying, you need a reset. You need a hard reset to actually get yourself locking in. This is the video for you. This is the protocol that changed me from a procrastinating, YouTube addicted little child to someone who's locked in, who got these kind of results in my A-levels. I graduated early thanks to this. And on top of that, my mental health, my physical health, it's never been better. This monk mode protocol is a protocol which focuses on mental health, which involved 3 key steps. So number 1 was a complete dopamine detox. Number 2 was getting rid of all the bad habits. Number 3 was putting it all into a strict timetable as well. So why should you care about your mental health? Like, you might think this is a video about locking in and studying and grinding hard, like mental health, right? What's that? But I'll tell you this is key to my success. This was instrumental to my success. I honestly believe that if I hadn't learned about mental health, I would still be that procrastinating, YouTube addicted little boy. Because your mental health determines your actions. If you have constant feelings of negativity, of anxiety, you have no motivation to do anything, then you're not going to study. You're not going to do these good habits. It's going to be so hard for you to actually do the work in the first place if you have poor mental health. And I'm betting that you actually have poor mental health. You probably already know about the habits that are bad for you. You stay inside all day. You don't see and socialize with people nearly as often as you should. You don't exercise enough. You spend 4 hours on your screen every single day. Is it any wonder why you don't feel good all the time? Why you feel like your mental health isn't so good? Because, you spend 4 hours on your screen every day. You play video games for 4 hours a day. Like, of course, your mental health is not going to be good. So what I actually did was this protocol was focused on improving my mental health, which allowed me to automatically do the good habits. Because imagine if you actually had really good mental health. It's sad that I have to say this, but imagine, right? Imagine you have amazing mental health where you always feel fulfilled. You're feeling fulfilled, happy. You feel like life is going in the right direction. You just like generally smile all the day, right? Do you think you're going to be doom scrolling for hours on end or be attached to your video games and latch onto them? Do you think that's going to happen? Probably not. Do you think it would be hard for you to study? Do you think it would be hard for you to exercise? Honestly, you might even start to enjoy studying more. You might actually start to crave exercise. That's something that happens, right? That, it might sound crazy, but you might start to actually really want to do it. It'll become easy for you to do the good habits because of the fact that you've been focusing on your mental health. So the number 1 thing which has helped me the most is the dopamine detox. It is this process whereby you remove all these bad habits. You replace them all. You know the bad habits, right? You probably know intrinsically what is not good for you. You know that after you've scrolled on your phone, do you feel good? Do you feel good after playing 4 hours of video game or jacking off all the time? Or do you feel good after that, right? These are some of the modern addictions. They're not that bad, right? But they're so common, but they genuinely do affect us. You're not doing crack or anything, but it's still genuinely giving you some signs of depression, right? You're sitting around scrolling all day. If that's not a sign of depression, I don't know what is, right? All of these bad habits have one thing in common. They feel fun to do right now. They're fun to do. They're enjoyable to do right now. I will completely say that. Yeah, it's fun to play video games, right? But they come at a big trade-off. There's a long-term loss in like your success and your life quality if you play so many video games. Actually, if you even play video games at all, right? You should treat it more like junk food. Acknowledge that it's not good for you, right? You playing so many video games. That it is detracting away from your success in other areas as well. Because the thing about dopamine, right? The dopamine is like a chemical inside of your brain. Dopamine controls motivation. And so if you notice yourself throughout the day, if you are still stuck to all these habits, you still scroll all day, you still play all these video games, then you'll notice yourself, your brain is motivating yourself to do those habits, right? It'll motivate yourself to browse Instagram. It'll motivate itself to, grind on League of Legends. But what is it not motivating itself to? You're not motivating yourself to do the good habits. You're not motivating yourself to study. You're not motivating yourself to do like exercise, for example. And so you're basically using up all that motivation that you have, all of that finite energy that you have. You're using it all up, and you're using your brain power to obsess over a bad habit, right? Even if you just play 1 hour of video games a day, you'll still be thinking about it, and you're still going to, use all your brain power on it, and it's going to be harder for you to actually do the good habits because, it's going to give you all this kind of stimulation up here. You're going to feel so stimulated, and then you go and try and study, and it's like down here, right? It's going to be hard because you have that comparison. If you just didn't have that comparison at all, and you stayed around here overall, then studying would feel actually more enjoyable. Studying would be easier. Studying would be more fun because you don't have those wild spikes. You wouldn't feel that massive drop when you go to study. I bet you've experienced this before, where you go and browse TikTok for like 2 hours, and then you realize, oh crap, I gotta study. Oh crap, I gotta study. And then you try and study, and then you realize, wow, my attention span's so fried. I feel so tired. Oh wow, like I was on my screen for like 2 hours. Like, wow, it's really hard for me to study because it's so unstimulating compared to these more stimulating habits like the screens and everything like that. So the way that we can automatically get ourselves to do the good habits is to actually cut back on the bad habits. These bad habits affect us more than you realize. You might think that I'm basically telling you to cut out some of the bad habits, but those are the fun parts of life, right? So I'm going to have less fun. I'm not going to enjoy my life as much. But that's not actually true, because if you get on this kind of protocol which I tell you about, where you go on a dopamine detox, but also have a strong timetable as well, you will feel some of the most fulfillment that you'll ever have. Fulfillment that trumps any kind of stimulants or any kind of spike that you get from like playing video games, for example. You'll feel this like fulfillment and general happiness and contentment with yourself because you're doing the right things. If you've been studying really hard, you've been exercising really hard, you're well on your way to achieving your goals, and you're sleeping well as well, you're feeling healthy, strong, and that you've worked hard, how can you be depressed, right? How can you be depressed? How can you're going to feel happy in general because, you look at yourself, you're like, yeah, I'm happy, I'm proud of myself. I've done well. I've been working hard. That's the feeling that I want you to get more of, right? Also, because you've cut out the stimulating things, you'll find studying more enjoyable as well. But also, as you become better at studying, you do it more and more. It becomes more enjoyable because you know the questions, you can do it quickly. It becomes more, it becomes easier for you as well as you become better. So naturally, you'll find it more and more enjoyable. The goal here is to achieve those dream results while also being happy and fulfilled and having time for, improving other areas, not having to sacrifice every other aspect, right? You don't want to be like those, Chinese students who study for like Gaokao, right? Like, you don't need to study for 12 hours a day to achieve the dream results that you want. If all you did was just cut out that time that you spend scrolling and wasting time on your phone and playing video games, you could have enough time to do everything that you ever wanted. Sleep well, study hard, get that dream body of yours, right? It all revolves on getting rid of those bad habits. And so what can we do? What do we replace it with, right? If you basically get rid of the bad habits, there's a massive void, right? 3 hours of your life, 4 hours of your life, maybe even 6-8 hours of your day. That's a lot of time, right? So what should you do? Because if you give yourself just nothing to do, you might find yourself defaulting back to, wasting time on your screens, right? So what we have to do is we have to start to replace it. And this is where we start to allocate time for other habits. So we start to do some of these other habits. And so you should start to replace these bad habits with these good ones, these more good ones that you kind of know they're good for you. But I just want to emphasize a couple of habits which has really transformed my mental health. Number one is meditation. Meditation that I really love to talk about on this channel. I love to talk about every single time on this channel. I talk a lot about it in my course as well, top link in the description. But meditation's been so good for managing my own focus, managing my desires, my addictions as well. I just spend less time on my phone. because of meditation. Because of meditation. Meditation helps me control myself. Literally helps me control myself. So, I have less time where I randomly just pick up my phone for no reason, right? I meditate every single day for 20 minutes, and that's helped me so much. And I believe that you should start to try it as well. Meditation is basically this process of, trying to focus on something that's present right now. So imagine focusing on your breath, breathing in, breathing out. And what you'll notice during meditation is that you're going to get distracted. You're going to drift off. You're trying to focus on your breath, but you're going to drift off and get distracted. That's completely fine. It's just every time that you notice yourself getting distracted, you're over here, you're getting distracted over here. Every time you do that, you just have to shift yourself back onto the breath, onto the thing that's happening right now. This will improve your mindfulness. And every time you do that, your brain becomes stronger. Your brain becomes more focused. You improve your focus, but honestly, at the same time, you just feel amazing. It feels good as well. You get over time, you start to build this kind of low-lying happiness. You start to enjoy your life more because of meditation. I'm a big meditation fan. It's helped me so much. I just think it's so beneficial, and I think everyone should be doing it. The second one, which has helped me a lot, is gratitude journaling. Gratitude journaling, where every morning I write down things that I'm grateful for, which helps me focus more on the positive. It basically forces some positive thoughts inside of your brain. I am grateful for this. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for my camera. I'm grateful for this, this light over here. I am grateful for my calculator. I don't know. Being grateful for the kind of things that you like. And it forces some positive thoughts as well. So you start to automatically generate more positive thoughts if you start to do it every single day. It's a great little habit that's just, it's just like 5 minutes of just thinking about positive things that will genuinely start to shift your attention to the positive. There are other habits as well, which has helped me a lot that you probably already know about, that you already know that they benefit your mental health a lot. Things like exercising. You should be exercising, preferably every day, but you should be exercising probably at least 3 times a week. Socializing with your friends, speaking to your family, spending time in real life, right? Going outside, being in sunlight. Honestly, if you just literally did nothing and just stared at a wall, that would probably be better than you simply scrolling on your phone and playing all these video games. It's probably better for you overall because, your attention span wouldn't be fried. You'd be you'd basically be neutral instead of like a net negative, right? You wouldn't be going down here, you'd just be around here. And that would help improve your attention span as well overall. To replace our bad habit, we can use this idea of replacing our basic attack. So, I learned about this from like Ali Abdaal and Hamza as well, where it's this idea of replacing the normal thing that you do when you're bored to something else, right? So your basic attack, the thing that you always do, right? So whenever you're bored, what do? You scroll on your phone, right? That's what I'm sure a lot of you people do, right? But what if we could replace that? What if we could replace it with maybe, let's say, reading, consuming a different kind of content, consuming a long form podcast, consuming these kind of more educational YouTube videos, something like that, starting to replace that with reading. I've been trying to start to replace it with reading as well. I've been replacing YouTube with reading as well, and it's been really amazing for my mental health. It's great. So you just default to reading, and that becomes your basic thing, the normal thing that you do instead of scrolling. Anytime you feel like you have nothing to do, or you feel like there's like a bit of 20 minutes of extra time that you just need to wait around, then what you could do is you could start to read, buy yourself a Kindle, get yourself some books, even just use the Kindle app on your phone. Something as simple as that, so that the automatic thing that you do is start to read. So this sounds great and all. We want to replace all those bad habits. Well, it's going to be hard, right? It's not like, how the fuck would I do that, right? Well, one amazing tool which I can give you is timetabling and time blocking. Creating a timetable for yourself and writing out what you're going to be doing every single hour of the day. This will be so good for you if you can try and keep as consistent as you can on this timetable. You should start to have this ideal timetable where you imagine yourself being 10 out of 10 productive. You imagine yourself being so onto it. This is like your perfect day. And this will be your perfect day, so you might not be able to actually follow it today, right? You know, your attention span is still kind of fried, so it will be hard for you to read for 2 hours. But what if you tried that as much as possible? You tried to follow it as much as possible. And even if you only follow it for like, you know, half of the time, for 50% of the time, you will still make so much more progress than if you actually didn't have a timetable at all, right? If you manage to study for 2 hours a day instead of your allocated 4 hours of study, that's still 2 hours of study, right? And that might be two more hours of study than you might have done if you had no timetable at all. If you're still like addicted to YouTube, right? That's still amazing progress if you at least try. And the thing is, this becomes a bit of a skill. If you have this timetable, which is, you know, stays pretty consistent, you start to internalize it more. You start to look at it more, and yeah, I do this at 7, I do this at 9 o'clock, I do this at 5 o'clock. You start to create this consistency for yourself so that your brain automatically knows what to do. You automatically switch tasks. You know that at this time, it is work time. This is a time that you can study, right? And so if you start to plan out these days and start to plan out your ideal day where you don't even need any bad habits, you don't need any vices, and try and follow that as much as possible, you're going to find you're going to have a great day. And this is like the key, creating that consistency. So a consistent workout time, so a consistent wake up time, a consistent sleep time, consistent exercise, a consistent study times. Every single day should try and be as consistent as possible. Or maybe like, you know, the weekday is a consistent, and you have a kind of weekend schedule as well. But try and keep it as consistent as possible so that your brain automatically does it. So it becomes easy for you to study. Like it'll be easy for you to study once you're on this really good routine. It'll be easy for you to sit down and work. It'll be easier for you to sit down and work than to actually scroll on your phone, right? If you have the right environment set up. It will be hard, right? It will be hard. You might default to scroll on your phone. That is completely true. It might take a little bit for you to actually do it. But the fact that if you've watched this far and you actually watch this content with intent, you're already on track. You're doing really well if you actually are so interested in this kind of thing. You're going to be locked in. If you take this and take some of these action steps, you are going to be locked in for your exams. You're going to get those dream results. Just as long as you implement this kind of a timetable where you time block it out, where you write down everything you do, even your sleep time, write it out in like Google Calendar. I'll show you my Google Calendar, for example. If you do that, creating the routine for yourself and, you know, do the dopamine detox and try and get rid of every bad habit, truly, you'll be on such a path to success. Thank you for watching. If you're an A-level or IGCSE student and you want some help to get your dream A-level results, take a look at this top link in the description below. Just check that out. Thank you for watching. Work hard. See you later. Bye-bye.